Alright, I'm going to do a bit of a highlights reel of some of my London's finest games. No facecam today. Had a bit of a lazy day, looking a bit rough, so I'm not going to put you all through that. If you're here, having seen my channel through PvP Steve's stuff, welcome. Hope you enjoy. But yeah, here's London's finest content. It's not going to be quite as in depth the stuff as what I went into with my previous video. But yeah, there's some good games here. And the first one was round, I think this was the second game of round 1 versus Jesp. I won the first game, and in the second game I'm running G-Fisk, Venusaur and Frostlass. And I'm wanting to show this game. I don't do anything particularly special here, but it sort of shows the dangers of Litleo, or indeed Pyro, which I've said a lot of things about in various places, good and bad. And I think it shows how dangerous it can be. So let's have a look. So I've got Venus leading the G-Fisk, and I've got 2 anti-Medicham counters in the back. So, I sort of win this lead, but really, once he starts getting flame charges off, it's going to be difficult for me to handle that. So I have to save the G-Fisk for that. I'm a bit slow swapping in, so I'm beaten to a Psychic. I don't want to shield, because if I shield and then the Litleo comes in, I'm just energy for the Litleo to farm, and I probably lose the game at that point. So it's important that I don't shield that, and I end up killing him with the Shadow Ball. So as I say, Litleo comes in and I don't give him much energy. So I'm back in with the G-Fisk. I didn't wait out the timer there. I want to keep him trapped in. I want to spend as much time with G-Fisk in versus Litleo as I can, because that keeps Venusaur away. He shields the Rock Slide. I make sure I shield this. As I say, I've got to use G-Fisk to beat this. And here I go for the next Rock Slide, and he lets it through because he's almost beaten G-Fisk. But so yeah, as I say, he lets it through. But had he shielded that, he just wins. Just because of the nature of this cup and what's good in this cup, and there's a lot of the good stuff is weak to fire. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't to know I had Venusaur in the back, I guess. But yeah, if he shielded that, he just won. And that's the sort of where I saw Pyro playing, to be honest. I just never felt brave enough to use it that way. Purely because you never know what your opponent's got in the back. I mean, I could quite easily have had Scrafty in the back here, but I didn't. And as it happens, I had Venusaur in. Notice I didn't shield the first attack there, because I know I can take a Dark Pulse, but a Foul Play, but probably not a boosted Foul Play from Power Up Punch. So by letting the first swing through, I'm either being hit by an unboosted Foul Play or a Power Up Punch, either of which is fine. So that's just the safe play to make sure I won that game. So that put me at 2-0. The third game ended up being a tie, and then the fourth. So we replayed the third game, and he swapped me with Litleo. So yeah. Round 2 wasn't a particularly great game, so I'm going to go into round 3 against Mark 93 Kun, who ended up winning the tournament, sweeping it 6-0. So his team is Pidgeot, Victory Bell, Lapras, Medicham, Gallade, and G-Fisk, and this team is horrible to pick against. Yeah, just truly awful to pick against. So game one, I thought, right, okay, we'll go with the Gallade safe swap. Then at least I'm getting a shield off something worst case scenario, and hopefully let's go from there. So I led Scrafty because that's going to allow me to. So Scrafty loses the lead to Victory Bell and to Medicham and to Pidgeot. To the the Medi and the Vic, I can swap the Gallade in. Pidgeot, I can stay in, dent it as much as I can, and then farm with Frostlass. So there's play there. It's a bit risky, but there's always going to be an element of rock paper scissors when your opponent's got things like Victory Bell, Shadow Pidgeot as well. So got to sort of embrace that a little bit. So I did. So terrible lead, but it's not the worst case scenario because it isn't Pidgeot, so I can just go straight into Gallade here. And he goes into Shadow Vic, and Gallade's just going to absolutely delete him. So I try for the Leaf Blade, but I kill it in 3 confusions. And now I'm able to get a Leaf Blade off and whatever comes back in. I see that it's Medicham, so I definitely go for the Leaf Blade rather than the close combat. Can I get to a second? Definitely not. Guess we're here back in with Frostlass. Obviously no way I go Scrafty in that situation. Probably don't shield. Okay, interesting. Maybe I was concerned that he had Vic in the back and I wanted to make sure I used my shields. Yeah, I was trying to get as much energy as I could and didn't want to end up taking another charge move there, so throw seems sensible. And then Gallade in the back. So I want to burn a shield before I can come back in with Scrafty. I don't want to stay in with Frostlass because I don't want to give him any more energy than is absolutely possible, than is absolutely necessary. I'm going to call the bait here. So I'm going to over farm. So I want to try and throw at a time that doesn't let him squeeze another charge move through. Obviously, I have to shield that. Otherwise, I lose. So I tried changing my mind and going for the foul play, but the power up punch has already gone through. He lets it through. So this time I decided to just go for another one because the counter damage will start racking up, and I've still got a little bit of health on Frostlass to powder snow down as well. So it's going to be tight. So Frostlass is just about able to come in and powder snow down. So see, I was able to win the first round, the first game in round 3, but then the second and third, I just wasn't able to contain the Gallade. He just got too much energy with it. Yeah, he played the Gallade really well in games 2 and 3, and that combined with being able to line Pidgeot up, and I don't think he used Victory Bell again, but yeah, he was able to line things up nicely and use the Gallade really well as well. So I lost that one 2-1. So that was round 3. Round 4, I got 3-0'd. I played horrendously, like really, really badly. Like in the game against Trudy that I analysed, you saw a lot of my mistakes were down to not following the plan. That wasn't the case with the game in round 4. Yeah, I just played atrociously. Just like not switching when it's like clear you need to switch. throwing energy when you don't need to throw energy. Like, just, I don't know what happened. I'm still a bit upset about it, to be honest, but yeah, I played really poorly. Yeah, so nothing to show from that. So we're going to round 5, which was versus the man himself, Adelian, with his Venusaur, G-Fisk, Alolan Ninetales, Frostlass, Gallade, Medicham. Now, the first game, you'll be able to see the team I ran here. Scrafty, Frostlass, Gallade. Immediately you'll see that is stupidly weak to Alolan Ninetales. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it was a next level genius play or a call that he wasn't going to bring it. I just overthought it and got myself into a point where I decided I didn't really fancy Venusaur and I didn't really fancy G-Fisk. So I ended up not bringing a charm counter. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, as I say, yeah, we'll see what happens. So I'll lead Scrafty into Gallade, so this is good. It's a good start. Choosing to stay in. And that's fine because realistically Scrafty is as good as anything at taking on Gallade. I'm going to shield here because I know that I need to take Gallade on with Scrafty. Like, I can't, if I let that through and it was a close combat, that was just end of game really. So I'm able to land a foul play, which is nice. And I know that he's not at close combat yet, so I'm going to let this through. So let's see what he comes in with next. Ninetales, so I decided to switch immediately, save the Scrafty in case I need it as a sack later. And I go to Gallade because I'm just hoping that he might let through a Leaf Blade, knowing that, maybe thinking that Ninetales has almost done its job now, but he doesn't, he shields it. But he's low enough health now that we're to the point where, with a few Powder Snows, I can probably get him in range of an Avalanche, so I can be a bit more energy efficient. After shield, obviously, with Scrafty being on the health that it's on. And as I said, I'm just going to be quite aggressive with my farming. I've just got to hope he's got Medicham in the back. He has, so I go for the Shadow Ball. Don't want him to call a bait, that would be disastrous. And now I've just got to hope that I can catch a charge move with Scrafty. So there we go, and I caught it. Filthy, really. Yeah, catch the charge move, and then the IVs on my Frostlass mean I live on pubes, and I'm able to land the Shadow Ball for the kill. So, absolutely stupid line I picked, but I was able to play it just about right to win. So that was game 1. Game 2 was also really good. So I'm running Frostlass, Venusaur, Gallade. Definitely brought a charm counter this time, but he's led Ninetales now, knowing that it was so strong in the previous round, which is sensible. So obviously I can't switch to Venusaur, otherwise he'll just switch out, and I certainly can't switch to Gallade, so I'm forced to stay in. I go for a bait here, knowing that this will allow me to get to a Shadow Ball before I feint to Charms. But he throws the charge move there. which is fine, and I decide to let this through because now I can come through and farm with Venusaur, and that's going to be dangerous to everything on his team, especially now he's a shield down. So I get a little bit greedy and I'm forced to shield here, but that's sort of okay really. He seems content to let his Ninetales go down, which is great for Gallade, of course. So I'm on a buttload of energy. I'm just going to throw the Frenzy Plant. Maybe I should have undercharged there a little bit and got a bit more farming, but even when it's resisted, Charm will chip you down, so probably wasn't worth it. In comes the Medicham. Strange thing to bring in versus Venusaur that's loaded on energy, but so that's telling me Venusaur is in a good spot here. I'm thinking he's probably got G-Fisk in the back. If he had Gallade in the back, he'd certainly have gone for it. I would have thought anyway. So I'm able to get that last shield, and I decide to let this through because I can come in and farm with Gallade, and then whatever he's got in the back, I can just beat with a shield advantage with Gallade, knowing that the Ninetales has gone down. And it's G-Fisk, so I'm going to be able to beat him to close combat. And then just farm down the Medi. So that put me at 2-0 in round 5. And Adelium won the 3rd, I believe. Yeah, he must have done. Yeah, Adelium must have won the 3rd. But yeah, I thought both of those were really, really good games. And then in round 6, I had Bait Elmo, sorry, and yeah, his team fairly standard: Wigglytuff, G-Fisk, Frostlass, Medicham, Noctowl, Venusaur. I always find it a bit difficult playing versus teams with both a Flyer and a Charmer. I mean, it makes me feel like I have to bring G-Fisk. Just because it can punish both, but I feel like then that's quite predictable, and G-Fisk will struggle versus Medicham, so I get in my own head a little bit there. But so I lost the first game. The first game I made myself too weak in the back to Medicham, and he swept through. I think I had Lapras and G-Fisk in the back, and I couldn't quite handle his Medicham. But yeah, so this time I'm making sure I've got a couple of Medicham counters in the back, and I'm going to lead with G-Fisk to try and catch a good lead. So yeah, let's see what happens. So straight into the Wigglytuff lead, which is awesome for me, because I know now that I've got 2 things that beat Wigglytuff at a shield disadvantage, so I can counter switch to Gallade here, knowing that going out of this at a shield disadvantage is fine, because I will be able to gain that shield back versus Wigglytuff at some point with G-Fisk or Venusaur. But I'm able to confusion down the Venusaur, expecting the Wiggly to come back in. I go for a cheeky confusion before throwing, in the hopes that he might now think I'm going to go double Leaf Blade and let this through. But he doesn't, he shields it, which is equally good for me, because now I can come back in with G-Fisk. I could have gone Venusaur here. There would have been a reason that I went G-Fisk rather than oh yeah, so I'm expecting him to have Medi in the back because of how well he did versus my first game. So I want to get some use out of G-Fisk first. However, after tanking this Ice Beam, I choose to swap to Venusaur just in case he's got something else. So I don't want to let it get energy. And it is indeed the Medi, so it was good that I swapped fast because I'm going to be able to outpace it now, which is really quite important. This comes too soon to be a psychic, so I'm just going to let it through. So yeah, I shield this one. Obviously can't let this through, otherwise I lose. I do a little bit of over farming, just because I want to have a little bit less health, just so the Wiggly can't farm me as much, because I'm not at the rock slide with G-Fix, but I know I'm really close. So I switch straight back to it, and I'm able to beat Wiggly to the charge. So that puts me at 1-1. And then the third game I played a similar line, and I think something similar happened, which meant I was able to finish strong and end on 4-2. Not going to lie, I was hoping to do a little bit better. But as I say, I played so horrifically bad in round 4 that I really, really can't have any complaints. And especially when you consider some of the games I picked up in round 5 versus Adelian, particularly that first one where I picked a stupid line and managed to land a dirty sack swap on him. Which, I've been on the wrong side of a few of those already this month, so it's nice to be on the right side of one for a change. And there was a bit of a dispute in round 2 as well from my opponent. But yeah, I'm pretty sure, it wasn't given, and I'm pretty sure it was fine anyway. But yeah, 4-2, fairly pleased. Gave Lapras a go rather than Blaziken this time, because people are running more flyers than I expected. I just think running flyers here is silly, to be honest. G-Fisk and Frostlass are so good. Every team has them. There's so much that beats the fighting types. You've got Charmers, which aren't great either, I don't think, to be honest, either. You've got Charmers, you've got Gallade, you've got things like Frostlass and Venusaur. Medicham will take on most fighters. I just think there's so many options to beat fighting types. Why do you need Noctowl? And it's a pretty hard Shadow Vic counter, but I think Shadow Vic can be taken advantage of fairly easily with things like Venusaur and Gallade. I don't think Shadow Vic merits being scared of enough to be forced into running a Noctowl or a Golbat. I mean, I suppose equally they're there for Venusaur as well, I guess. So fair enough, I suppose. But yeah, I just thought there was just too many of them to run 3 fighting types. And Lapras wasn't used in any of the 5 games there, but I used it a fair bit. Still not sold on it, to be completely honest. I don't like having that extra counter weakness, although, I mean, it's not like Blaziken was taking counter damage nicely, was it, to be fair? So is it really any different? I don't know. I just really wish I had a Shadow Abomasnow now. That's what I would be running. I've still got one more tournament to enter this month. I do like the team. It's just that last slot, which I might think about a bit more. Do I want Lapras? Do I want Blaziken back? Do I want a standard Abomasnow? I was thinking about a Alolan Sandslash. I don't know, really have to think about it, but generally speaking, I like the rest of the team. And with Gallade, I feel like Gallade's gaining more popularity, and I think that makes Scrafty super important. As I say, there's so much that beats fighting type. I'm still confident that I don't want Medi. I'd rather have a fighting type that offers me something a bit different, which Scrafty does. And we saw in a couple of games here that lining up versus Gallade was crucial. And there isn't another counter user that can do that. Yes, Obstagoon can, but Obstagoon's even weaker to the other counter users than Scrafty is. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. Yeah, catch you later. Bye.